Carolina used to have a predominantly African-American town, and it was called Soul City. It started because of this man, Floyd McKissick. See, Floyd had a lot of connections. He was the first black graduate from the University of North Carolina Law School. He was the leader for the Congress on Racial Equality, and he was a staunch advocate for black power. He founded Soul City as part of a business venture that was meant to provide economic opportunity and invest money into the black community. And he was able to secure millions of dollars for the Soul City project. See, Floyd was a Republican. It's different from the party it is now. He had previously endorsed Richard Nixon, and because of that, he had a direct line to him. And because of that, he was able to secure millions of private and public dollars. He ended up securing a $14 million bond from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. It was projected that Soul City was supposed to bring in 24,000 jobs and 44,000 inhabitants by 2004. They ended up starting to build a state-of-the-art water system, health clinic, and a steel and glass factory. And people started to move in. But in 1980, things started to go wrong really fast. Newspapers started to label McKissick as a lawyer who had a flashy lifestyle. This scared businesses into investing in Soul City. This also triggered lawsuits and investigations into the use of funds that went to developers of Soul City. The Government Accountability Office even got involved and launched an investigation into how funds were being used as well. When the dust settled and it was determined that no money was being misused, the damage was already done. Most businesses and people that wanted to live there pulled out. Although there are some people that still live there, Soul City is a shell of what it was originally meant to be.
I know. There are two things that y'all are going to start commenting on, but those two things will be distractions. So please listen to what I'm saying before you start your commenting. The first distraction is going to be, and probably the biggest conversation is, every time we build something, you see they come in and destroy it. See, they want to use propaganda to destroy whatever we're trying to build. They're never going to let us, never going to let us, never going to let us. It's going to be all that type of conversation. Please do not get sidetracked into that. The past is the past, and we can't change the past. All we can do is learn from the past. The second thing that people are going to get caught up in, you're going to have those who are Republicans, especially my Caucasian followers, are going to say, see, black people, y'all need to vote Republican because the Republicans are the party that freed the slaves. Republicans are the ones who fought for, who gave you the 14th Amendment. Republicans were the ones who did the civil rights and so on and so forth. They're going to go all into that. The Republicans were in support of civil rights. Okay, but the Republican Party today is not the same Republican Party it was back then. All right, the Republican Party in the 50s and 60s wasn't even the same as it was back then during the Lincoln Republican Party. The Dixiecrats formulated a great plan. Maintain control over the Democratic Party, but also go and maintain and get control of the Republican Party. That way you can be beneficial to what your program is, no matter which side of the aisles that black people or Asians or anybody else jump on. We're still in control of everything. Because let's be real, MAGA does not help y'all cause at all. So the Republican Party is not the same. It's filled with all those who left, all those Southerners who left the Democratic Party and became part of the Republican Party. So it's not the same. There is actually no party that is the greater benefit for black people. I will give the Libertarian Party more credit. Don't get sidetracked into that. For my Caucasian followers, I want you to understand this first. If you truly believe in the greatness of America, then what you would truly believe in is equality for all Americans. That America can be, has never been, but can be a great, great country if America actually invested in all its people. You see, one of the indicators, and I'm just going to give you this one, of an indicator of why America doesn't invest in all of its people. Currently, right now, federal dollars that goes to education, that goes to schools, those dollars are given to the schools that have the higher property value, to which most of those schools that have the higher property value is predominantly white. So therefore, the schools that get the most support from the federal government and the state government, but get the most support, are schools that are already involved, that are already dealing with children whose family members already have the means, the economic means to provide for their children a greater opportunity of advancement than anybody else, which further widens the wage gaps. It further widens the rich versus the poor. The strength of any country is to have a strong middle class. So what you would want is for those federal dollars that support schools, those state dollars that support schools, that the majority of the funds would go to the schools that are in the lower income areas, so that those children will have the resources to be able to go to a college, go to a trade school, to have better opportunities, so that we develop into a much stronger middle class. Not everybody is going to be rich. That has never happened in the history of man. But a strong middle class should be the goal. Now for the real part of this video. Black people. One thing that the Asian community and the Spanish community has demonstrated is that the best way for you to gain the best way to gain moral freedom in this country is by gaining economic freedom in this country. And the only way that you can do that, as this country has been built, is to build our own communities. Now, this gentleman went and tried to build a community, but of course the propaganda machine went against him and it was dashed. If anybody, and I myself plan on doing it, were to build a community that was dead set on building the black community, strengthening the black community, there will be those distractors. There will be those in the government. There will be those in political groups and those in economic groups who will do all they can to stop it. They will besmirch my name left and right. They will bring up the bankruptcies I filed back in the day. They will bring up the foreclosures I've had. They will bring up the child support arrearage. They will bring up any and everything, the speeding tickets. They will bring all those things up in order to destroy anything that I do. But if you let that cause you to say, oh no, we can't do that, he didn't learn from those bankruptcies. I actually use bankruptcy as a tool, which bankruptcy is used by the rich as a tool in order to facilitate more gain, because that's how I used it. But they will, if you let that distract you, you will never be able to accomplish anything. Because if you're looking for the perfect leader to come about, you're always going to be looking, because there's no such thing as a perfect leader. But to build our own communities, or to support the communities that we have right now, to support the businesses, and for those businesses to support the people in that community, for the religious groups in any community to actually support that community. Imagine, if you will, if all the black churches in every black community, because that's where they are, if all the black churches every Sunday said, hey, these are the businesses that are in this church. Everybody in this church, if you're going to do any kind of business that deals with anybody who has a business in this church, go to them first. And hey, every business in here, as your business begins to prosper more because this church of 5,000 is supporting your business, give these people the extra jobs first. Pay these people first. Hire their children. Hire their young adults. Hire their college graduates. Train them. And then if the church had a customer service training program, if the church had an IT training program, if the church developed a land purchase program, then they will start to cycle that dollar within their community. And then the church builds a bank, a credit union. And that credit union buys the houses in their communities. And then they sell those houses to their parishioners so that the home ownership in their community goes up. And they then have more control over what happens in their community because they are the landowners. Then that community will start to become a great community. And that church would actually become a mega church. The first couple of churches that do this will become a mega church. So pastors, for your own greed, do this so that your church will become a mega church and you become a big pastor. And you can write books and go on tour and all this stuff. Imagine if that happened. Then the black community would grow in strength politically because it has grown economically. And then you can control the police department. You can control the superintendent. You can control your council members and your governors and your mayors and all these other positions. And then you can actually live in some level of equality. And if America ever became an equal nation, actually followed the preamble, then America can become great. But until such time, America will never be great. Y'all have a great day. And remember always, you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.